Awesome, man.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Has University. Today we're going to be talking about measurements, not just the basic measurements, but pretty much all of the measurements that you would need to be fitted for a designer. In the event that you're walking for somebody that is not local to your area, these measurements will give them in-depth um, measurements so that they can actually utilize every aspect of the fabric and match your body perfectly. So today we have with us Reginald Wilson of Lavincient Fashions out of the DMV or the DC area. He's one of our designers that we're going to be working with pretty often in the future. He did our winter solstice in November, did a great showing there, and we have another show coming up June 26th at 3 p.m. Tickets go on sale on Monday. So watch out for the links. Definitely, I'll add the link in the comments once the link is up, but definitely enjoy. So now I'm going to introduce Mr. Reginald Wilson.
Hi, my name is Reginald Wilson, as Antonio said, and I am a fashion designer, and my label is Lavincient. And as he mentioned, I did show at Winter Solstice, the first debut, and it was absolutely amazing. But one of the problems that I run into is inaccurate measurements. And what I need to convey is that how important it is to give accurate measurements, because by doing that, you allow the designer to fit you perfectly and also make what they call a bespoke outfit. And what that is a bespoke garment is something that is custom to the person or client that you're making the outfit for. Now, let's get right into our measurements. And as I explain what the measurements are, I'm going to show you how to do those measurements. So right here, we have a male form, and it says that his waist is a 36. Okay, so you're going to be surprised that you don't need the waist measurements to make a pair of trousers or slacks. All you need is the crotch depth, the inseam at the crotch level, the length of the trouser, and the width of the hem. Now, I'm going to tell you what all of these things mean as I work through and showing you how to do those measurements. So the first measurement, and this also works for women as well. So the trouser drape and the trouser measurement is good for both men and women. So if you're a woman and you're like, but that's a male form, I don't know what to do. It doesn't matter. All the measurements are the same the way you take them. So the first measurement is the crotch depth. Now you're like, what's a crotch depth? What does that mean? That is just below right. Let me see if you can see right there. I'm going to raise him up a little. He must have slipped down. So the crotch depth is the measurement from just right here to the natural waistline. That's the crotch depth. Okay. So if you're a man and you don't like to wear your trousers right at the belly button, you can drop down a couple of inches or however low you want your pants to rise or trousers to rise. So we're going to do an inch and a half below our natural waistline and put the tape there and measure all the way to the crotch, right there where the front seam matches the back seam. And I have right here, my measurement is a 14. Measure twice, cut once. Okay, so I'm going to measure it again to make sure that my measurement was accurate. Okay, and it was 14. Go ahead and record your measurements. Now, the next measurement is the inseam and the outseam at the crotch depth. What does that mean? Well, this is what that means. It's the inseam. If you feel right here on your form, there's a seam, and that's the inseam. The outseam is very easy and clear to see. So you're going to measure the inseam to the outseam at the crotch level. Okay? We know where the crotch is. Find your inseam. You're going to have to fill it out. There it is, and measure to the outseam. It's a size 12. Record your measurement on inseam to the outseam at the crotch level. Now, the length of the trouser. This is really simple. Remember, some people make a huge mistake when they're measuring the length. Now, if you're one of those men who wear their trousers swung low, remember, start at that measurement, not the natural waistline or the belly button. Remember that waist. Remember how far you drop down. I dropped down 1.5 inches, about 2 inches. So that's where I'm going to start right here. Measure all the way down to the floor and record your length. It is 40.5. Now, at this point, when you're measuring the length, some men like their pants to just fall and not have a break. If that's the case, measure to the ankle, and that will give you a crisp line all the way down with no break. If you want a break right above the shoe where your hem hits the shoe, then you add 1.5 inches. Let me say that again. If you want a slight break in your length, where the bottom of the hem hits the shoe, and you want a little break, add 1.5 inches. That will give you a break. If some guys like an even heavier break, so add another inch or 1/2 inch to give you a heavier break. Now this one is easy. It's called the hem. Well, you know what a hem is. It's the bottom of the pants. How wide do you want your hem to be? And you don't have to measure this on the mannequin. You can just decide, okay, if I want a skinny pant or what they call a cigarette pant, I would use a small width. So that would be the width of my pants. Okay, so keep in mind, it's this wide, but it also wraps around the ankle. Got that? Let me say that again. If you want a cigarette pant, it's like from 1 to 7 inches. This wraps around the front. So it's going to be a tighter fit around the ankle. But if you want a wider pant, let's say a length of a 10, right there, you see, 10 right there. That's from outseam to inseam. So that's going to give you a wider pant leg. Does that make sense? I hope so. So now we're done with the lower measurements. Now let's work on the top measurements. And for men, believe it or not, guys, for men, measurements are easy. Measurements are very easy. But construction of male garments is very difficult. I know that sounds backwards, so let that soak in a little bit. Okay. So taking measurements from a man or a male form is easy, but the construction of their garment is difficult. That's why you have a lot of designers that don't do male looks because of what goes into it. Now we're going to make a jacket. So the first thing I need you to do is to measure the neck. Real simple. We got 16. Now, if you want a longer scoop, then add an inch or half an inch to it. Then the shoulder from your neck to your arm cap. The arm cap is right here. Measure from there to the arm cap. I have 5.5. Now the next measurement is from the underarm to where you want your jacket to fall. Okay? So if you want your jacket to fall low or if you want your jacket to fall high, it's totally up to you. So that's what you do is you measure the side seam to the length of where you want your jacket to fall. Now, you measure the chest area. And this is so important. And I'm going to tell you, when I first started doing menswear and designing for men, I don't have a chest. And I was just making men's garments. And I found out that it's just as important to measure the chest of a man as it is for a woman, because some men have big pecs and some men don't. So it's so important to take that measurement. So you measure from arm to arm, and I have 15 there. Very simple. And the last measurement we're going to take is the length of the sleeve. So you measure from the arm cap, which is right there, to where you want your sleeve to stop. If you want a long sleeve, go all the way to the edge of the tape, and that represents the cuff. But if you want a short coat, a short sleeve, you can measure here. It just depends on how you want to how long you want your sleeve to be. Now, I want to stop right here and see if there's any questions. If you're viewing right now, if there's any questions, you can ask. Antonio, Shauna, if you have any questions for me, I can answer that right quick for you if you have any questions. If not, we'll get started with our female form measurements. No question? Okay, here we go. Hey.
Hey, I was actually measuring myself at the same time. So,
Did you get it done?
yes, I did.
I wasn't going too fast.
No,
Okay, very
no.
good.
Yeah, and of course, the cool thing about this video, you can always play it back, stop it, pause it, whatever you need to do. I would definitely suggest that if this is your first time doing it, measuring yourself. But yeah, we can just go straight into the female form.
Okay, sure, no problem. I just want to say that the female, and this is so important. I mean, notice, Antonio, I didn't even take measurements of the waist.
Exactly.
I don't have to, because all the other measurements are going to come together to create the waist. Now, the female measurements, they're a little tricky. You have to measure. Let me scoot Regine over here where you can see her. Well, there she is. So the waist, simple, very simple. Just measure the waist. And if you have one of these forms, this right here, this at the bottom of the tape, this is the natural waistline, not the top, the bottom. That's the natural waistline. So do not make that mistake and think that this is the waistline. No, this is the bottom of the tape. That is your waistline. Now, measuring the hips, pretty straightforward. Measure the hips all the way around. Right here we have a 36, which is great. And my chair slipped on it, reminded me. The bust is great. All you have to do is measure straight around the bust, and that gives you the complete bust. Now, this is what I need you to understand, and most people don't realize this, but it is so important for you ladies, You know, STEM is very big right now, women in STEM, because they want women to get into the technology. They want them to get into math. They want them to get into more science classes and more of those type careers. Now, here is why that's so important. I ran into an issue with one of the models at my first show. I had her, I had to pad the form. So I had her complete measurement at the chest, and I had her back measurement. But I didn't have the front measurement from side seam to side seam across the bust. I had to use algebra to figure out how much to pad my form out to get the measurement I needed for her. You would be surprised at how much math that goes into what you have to do. I have to use algebra, geometry. I have to use, believe it or not, trigonometry in a lot of designs that I do, because it requires me to make adjustments. In order for me to make those adjustments, I have to know how to find the value of X. And yeah, I never would have thought when I was sitting in the high school algebra classes, dreaming of being a fashion designer, knowing that I was going to have to use algebra. So with that being said, we did the bust. So let's go ahead and do the back measurement. And that's from shoulder to shoulder. And you subtract this from the entire measurement, and that gives you the bust in case you have to pad out for your, in case you have to pad out your form because of the bust size of the model. Then you take the measurement at the neck, which is fine. Sometimes you don't need it because a lot of my style line, let me explain what a style line is. A style line is basically what it says, a style line. So most of my style lines are like this, one shoulder. Sometimes I have a bustier style line or a sweetheart bustier style line. Sometimes my style lines are like this, and then it may come up and around on the bust. So it may be a bustier here, but this may be a one shoulder. Now, the measurement is next is the one from the side seam to the floor. That's how long you want your dress to be. Now, why are you measuring the side seam? You know why I'm measuring the side seam? Because women have hips. So if I measure here and she's got a flat tummy, when I go to cut the fabric and make the pattern, I did not make allowances for the curve of her hips. So this is why you measure the side and not the front, because it gives you the curve of the hip. Because if you don't, it's going to be tight and the dress is not going to fit. Now you want to do the same with the back. Just right here at your natural waistline, in case they have, you know, a nice cushion to sit on. You want to measure that because also they have to have room to move. But you don't want to measure straight down the center. You want to move over because the cushion that they have to sit on is not here. It's on the side. So that's what you measure, that on the side. And that will give you the measurement right here. That will give you the measurement of the back of the garment. So when you drape the back of the garment, you've made allowances for the curve of the bottom and also the curve of the hip. So I hope this helps you in taking your measurements when um, fashion shows want you to submit your fashion comp cards with your measurements on them. I hope this helps. A lot of people require a lot of different measurements, but it doesn't matter. A lot of those other ones doesn't. I mean, it just doesn't matter because it's going to work itself out when you start patterning the pattern for the garment. Now, I did forget, as I look at the mannequin, I did forget one measurement, and it's a running joke, and I'm sure Antonio will understand. You measure the back, start at the nape of the neck. I know it's nape. So you start at the nape of the neck or nape of the neck. Nape is the correct form, is the correct pronunciation. Measure all the way down to the natural waistline. Don't stop at the top. Stop right there. And that will give you the back measurement. Most of my dresses don't have backs, so I rarely use this measurement. But some of you may when you're making a trench coat or anything that's fitted to the back. Now, I also want to add, as you measure, I'm going to turn this around right there. This is so important, and this is why you do need to measure the back if it's going to have a suit coat or a jacket. Most people just measure straight down. Well, that's right. But look right here. Does the back fall straight? No. The back curves out. So when you're making your pattern, you can't just draw a straight line and put a straight seam right down the back. It doesn't work. It won't fit. You have too much fabric here and your side seam, and it throws your front off. So when you're doing your measure, make sure with this center back, this is what this is called, is the center back. Make sure that you add a curve, a slight curve in the back of your pattern to make allowances for the curve of the back because it does curve. Now that brings me to another important thing that we need to discuss. So you'll understand what's going on when you're trying to, when a designer says, I need you to do this or I need you to do that. If you have a form like I do, the form is divided into quadrants. Yes, see? Quadrants. Math. It's divided into quadrants. You have your center front left, your center front right, your side front left, your side front right. You have your center back left, center back right, side back left, and side back right. So when you see those CF, that means center front, or CS, that's center, that's side, I think I got that wrong. When you see LF, that's left front, LF, left front. Also, when you see CB, that means center back. So that's all I have for you today about how to take accurate measurements and make sure your garments fit. Antonio, that's all I have for you today. I hope somebody learned something.
Well, definitely, and always a pleasure having you on. Yeah, definitely very informative. These are things that are not normally taught, even with models that are with agencies. Generally, when you get look at a comp card, as we do all the time, all we get is the basic three: bust, waist, hips. Occasionally, they'll make allowances for the breast area. but all of the information that you gave is really information that no one's really really
Wow.
teaching the models.
Wow.
So I definitely appreciate you for giving us your time, your knowledge, your information. And I hope this will actually be something that you, the models, will be able to take away from this. There may be even designers that are just starting out that aren't familiar with these particular terms or these particular measurements that can really, from my perspective, could make a designer's life a whole lot easier.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. And especially when the models know the terminology. If as a matter of fact, I've been contracted by a very good close friend of mine to make uh, a suit for. So let's say he sends me his measurements, but he didn't send me the crotch depth. And I send you a message. I said, so and so, Johnny May, you didn't send me your crotch depth. And you're looking at me going, what's a crotch depth? They need to be able to know what I'm talking about when I request those measurements. And
Absolutely.
it's so important. I mean, I don't think anybody has heard of the crotch depth before. I didn't. When I started, and as I got into my research, I started to find out the correct way to take measurements. And it's not like you said, the standard three. There's a lot that goes into measuring a garment because rather than draping the garment on a form like I'm used to, I'm having to go from that to drafting a pattern with just numbers.
Hmm.
Numbers, I mean, a piece of paper, a ruler, and a pencil. That's all I have to make a pattern. Whereas if you drape it on the form, you've got your cheat sheets. You know what your center front is. You know how long the distance is from the nap of the the nape of the neck to the shoulder cap. You know because you marked it on the form. You know what the bust is because you've marked it on the form. You don't have to make any allowances. So this is so important because a lot of designers won't even see their models. So they rely on these measurements to give them an accurate picture of their bodies so they'll know how to construct their pattern in order to put together their garment.
Exactly. And I also want to impress upon the importance of knowing the terminology, knowing, what the crotch depth is, what the crotch width is, to know how to measure it, but also to know the terminology. Because as you progress in your modeling career, as we hope that you're doing, you're going to get with designers. And, if you want to do something in Paris, it's not going to be financially feasible to fly to Paris to get fit for an hour
Absolutely.
fitting and fly back to the United States. So when they ask you these questions and you're like a deer caught in the headlights, what's that? Um, that could actually be a consideration as to whether they use you or not.
You do know this stuff is not out there.
I do know that. I do
Everything
know that. And
everything
that's
that
why,
we talked about, not in any books.
exactly. And that's why, I enjoy bringing you on to talk with you because you give us those little nuggets, those trade secrets, I guess.
And we're gonna have to because I want you to invite me back, Antonio,
Yes.
because I think what would be cool is for them to see me take the measurements that I've taken and make a pattern from just a piece of paper, a pencil, and a ruler. How I can make a pattern from one, two, three, four, five measurements.
Awesome. Awesome. I
I
definitely
can,
want to bring you back for that. I want to see that myself.
yeah, how I can just take that and I mean seriously, when I do it, you're gonna go wow, because when I learned how to do it, I was going, I want to drape it. No, and once you have that pattern for those slacks or pants, you have to keep those. Those become now a sloper.
Okay.
So let's say you have a regular pair of slacks that you made the pattern for. And let's say I designed you a pair of pants, Antonio, and you come to me and you say, Reggie, I really like these pants, but I want another pair, but I want them a wide leg pant. So I go to your sloper with your name on it. It will have Antonio's sloper slacks. I will go to your pattern, pull out your pattern, and adjust the length of the legs, widen them up, and give you a wide leg pant without having to go back over and drape this again. So it's
Awesome.
important that you keep your basic slope, keep all of your patterns, but keep your slopers that you don't have to keep draping a pair of pants over and over, or bustier or blouse over and over. Keep your slopers and make some adjustments as you cut the fabric, but you must keep your slopers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, excellent information. I definitely appreciate you coming on. Look
Yeah,
forward to
it's
having
a
you on
pleasure.
again and working with you in the future. And come check out Reginald's designs. He's going to be showcasing June 26th for us at Hot, a Midsummer Night's Dream Fashion and Lingerie Show. This show is based a little loosely off of the William Shakespeare sonnet by the same name, A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Wow.
So I'm excited about the designs. We have 4 other designers that are going to be there, a true lingerie designer that's going to be there. So definitely, guys, tickets will go on sale on this coming Monday. And get your tickets. They're going to go fast. But Reggie, again, thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you.
Lavincient Fashions, we love you. We definitely and always learn something from you. And you guys have a great day. And I hope this has been informative.
Yes. Bye-bye.